Reaching a $100,000 net worth before turning 25 sounds dramatic, but the people who pull it off rarely use dramatic tactics. They don't win the lottery, inherit a windfall, or strike gold on a single crypto trade. They do two unglamorous things on repeat. They spend less than they earn, and they invest the difference automatically. That's the entire formula. Everything else is just discipline applied across thousands of small choices. What separates people who quietly build six-figure portfolios in their 20s from those who don't is rarely income. Plenty of high earners live paycheck to paycheck, and plenty of modestly paid professionals retire early. The difference is a set of small, repeatable habits that compound the same way a low-cost index fund compounds. Below are 20 habits that, taken together, give a working professional a realistic shot at saving and investing their first $100,000 before age 25, even on an average starting salary. None of these habits require extreme frugality. None of them require a finance degree. All of them require intention. Most will feel uncomfortable for the first 90 days and then they become invisible, which is exactly the moment the money starts piling up in the background. Wealth isn't what you earn. It's what you don't spend, invested patiently over time. One track every dollar at least for the first 6 months. You cannot cut what you cannot see. Spend the first 6 months of any serious financial reset logging every purchase in a spreadsheet categorized into roughly 10 buckets. The goal isn't to budget at this stage, it's to confront reality. Most people are shocked to discover they spend hundreds a month on food delivery and dozens on forgotten subscriptions. After 6 months, you can usually stop racking obsessively because awareness alone has already reshaped your defaults. A free spreadsheet, a paper notebook, or your bank's built-in categorization tool is enough. Mindless spending should feel uncomfortable, not invisible too. Pay yourself first automatically on payday. This is the single highest leverage habit on the list. Set up automatic transfers so that the day your paycheck lands, a fixed percentage moves straight into a brokerage or retirement account before you can touch it. A reasonable starting target is 20 to 30% of gross income. What remains in checking is your true spending budget. Reverse the equation. Most people try to save what's left at the end of the month and almost nothing is ever left. Automating savings first removes willpower from the picture entirely. 3. Refuse lifestyle inflation in your first 3 working years. Every raise during the first few years of your career should default to investments, not to upgrading rents or restaurants. Holding your fixed costs roughly flat while income grows 20 to 40% over 3 years is the cleanest way to widen your savings gap dramatically. This is called avoiding lifestyle creep, and it is the quiet killer of most high earners. The promotion bump feels like permission to upgrade. Everything resists that for a few years and you'll be playing a fundamentally different game than your peers by 30. 4. Treat rent as the only expense that really matters. Housing typically eats 30 to 40% of a young professional's budget, which means a single choice about where to live overwhelms hundreds of smaller, frugal decisions. Sharing a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment with roommates in your early 20s can save $1,000 or more per month versus a solo studio, money that can be invested directly. No amount of skipping coffee can compete with the math of a cheaper apartment. The 2-year sacrifice of a small bedroom often translates to $25,000 or more in saved cash. 5. Auto paid off used car and keep it. A new car loses roughly 20% of its value the day it leaves the lot and another 40% over the next 4 years. Buying a reliable 5 to 7-year-old vehicle outright or with a small loan paid off quickly avoids car payments that now average over $700 a month for new vehicles. Insurance is cheaper, repairs are simpler, and the depreciation curve has already flattened. A car is a tool to get to work. The version of yourself that becomes financially free in 5 years does not need it to be a personality 6. Cook at home and make it pleasant. Eating out is usually the single largest leak in a young professional's budget. The solution isn't a restaurant ban which never sticks. Instead, make cooking enjoyable by one decent chef's knife, learn 5 meals you genuinely like, and prep on Sundays. A $200 monthly grocery bill replacing a $600 takeout habit is a $400 swing every month, nearly $5,000 a year that compounds when invested. The hidden bonus is better food, better sleep, and a real-life skill. Restaurants become a treat instead of a default. 7. Audit subscriptions every quarter. Streaming services, gym memberships, software trials that quietly converted, premium app tiers nobody uses, these are designed to be forgotten. Every 3 months, pull a credit card statement, list every recurring charge, and ask one question per line: did I use this in the last 30 days? If no, cancel. This 20-minute exercise routinely saves $50 to $100 a month, or roughly $1,000 a year. Subscriptions are the rust of personal finance. They corrode quietly. They capture the full 401k match always. If an employer matches for 401k contributions and you contribute less than the maximum match, you are turning down free money. A 4% match represents an instant 100% return on every dollar contributed, a return unavailable anywhere else in finance. Investments inside of 401k also grow tax deferred, which compounds aggressively over decades. On the day a new job starts, set the contribution percentage to at least match the employer's full match before the first paycheck arrives. The match is the floor, not the ceiling. 9. Open a Roth IRA the year you qualify. Once the 401k match is captured, the next dollar generally belongs in a Roth IRA, an account where contributions are taxed now and grow completely tax-free for life. In your early 20s, your marginal tax rate is usually low, which makes the Roth especially powerful. Contribute the annual maximum $7,000 in 2026 and invest everything in a low-cost total market index fund. No stock picking, no day trading, no drama. Just steady, boring contributions on autopilot. 10. Build a real emergency fund before investing anything else. Before touching the stock market, park 3 months of expenses in a high-yield savings account earning around 4%. This isn't a wealth building tool, it's a wealth protecting tool. The reason most people sell investments at the worst possible moment is that a car repair, medical bill, or layoff forces their hand. A buffer means investments can ride through downturns untouched. Boring? Yes. Essential? Also yes. 11. Use the 30-day rule for any purchase over $100. For any non-essential purchase over $100, add it to a list and wait 30 days. In practice, about 70% of the time the desire evaporates entirely. The other 30% of the time the purchase survives a deliberate cooling off period and is made with conviction. The rule does two things at once: it kills impulse spending, and it forces clarity on whether you actually want the thing or whether you're using it as emotional decoration. 12. Buy quality once instead of cheap twice. Frugal is not the same as cheap. A well-made $200 pair of work shoes outlasts for pairs of $50 shoes and looks better doing it. The same logic applies to luggage, kitchen knives, a winter coat, and a few other durable items. The trick is to spend only on things you'll genuinely use for years and to resist applying the same logic to fast fashion or trendy gadgets. Cost per use is the only number that matters. 13. Negotiate every recurring bill once a year. Internet, phone, car insurance, and renters insurance all reward customers who ask. Set a 30-minute calendar reminder every January and call each provider with a simple script: I'm reviewing my expenses and considering switching. What's the best rate you can offer to keep me? Half the time a discount appears on the spot. The other half it's worth switching anyway. This habit routinely saves $300 to $500 a year for the price of one slightly annoying phone session. 14. Avoid consumer debt as if it were contagious. Carrying a credit card balance at 20% or more interest is the mathematical opposite of investing. It's negative compounding. Credit cards are fine tools for rewards and fraud protection, but they must be treated as debit cards. Never carry a balance. Never spend money that isn't already in checking. If a statement can't be paid in full each month, the credit card company is winning. Paid off, then go back to investing. 15. Rebuild your idea of fun around free or cheap things. Library, books, hiking, running, cooking dinner for friends, podcasts, board games, free museum days, watching movies at home. Modern consumption is engineered to cost money, which means actively rewiring entertainment defaults is a financial skill. Once cheap activities feel genuinely fun, the sense of deprivation disappears. It just becomes a different way to spend a weekend. The people who build wealth quietly almost always prefer hiking to brunch. 16. Add a small side income and save 100% of it. Even modest side income, treated as invisible money, accelerates the path dramatically. Freelance work, tutoring, weekend gigs, or skill-based contracts at 5 to 8 hours a week can produce $500 to $1,000 a month after taxes, routed directly into a separate brokerage account and never spent. That's $10,000 to $20,000 added to net worth over 18 months without affecting lifestyle at all. A side income doesn't have to be a startup. It just has to exist and stay untouched. 17. Shop with a list and never on an empty stomach. Two embarrassingly simple grocery rules cut spending immediately. Write the list before going and eat something first. Grocery stores are engineered to extract impulse purchases, and a hungry, listless shopper is the perfect target. Taking these rules seriously typically reduces grocery spend by 15 to 20%, with the bonus of fewer items quietly expiring in the back of the fridge, an underrated form of waste in most households. 18. Wait on every upgrade. Phones, laptops, TVs, bikes. The default upgrade cycle is 2 to 3 years, mostly driven by marketing rather than need. Extending every cycle by a factor of 2 roughly halves the spend on consumer electronics over a decade. A phone that lasts for years instead of 2, a laptop that lasts 6 instead of 3. The marginal improvement of the new model rarely justifies the cost, and the dopamine of a new device fades in under a week regardless. Manufacturers depend on consumers mistaking novelty for need. 19. Read books about money, not headlines. Financial news is mostly noise designed to provoke trading and inflate engagement. Avoid it entirely. Read instead a small number of evergreen books on long-term investing, behavioral economics, and tax-advantaged accounts. The good ideas repeat across every reputable source. Spend less than you earn, invest in low-cost index funds, ignore short-term volatility, don't try to time the market. Once a handful of principles are internalized, the urge to consume financial content disappears, and that's the point. 20. Pick a specific number and make it visible. Saving for the future is too vague to motivate anyone. Pick a specific target, $100,000 by age 25, or whatever fits. Write it somewhere visible and track progress on the first of every month. The number itself matters less than the act of having one. A concrete target turns saving more into a project with a deadline. Even missing the target by a few months still locks the habits in for the next decade, which is where the real wealth gets built anyway. The habits that do most of the work. Of these 20 habits, 3 carry most of the weight. Paying yourself first automatically. Habit 2. Make saving inevitable. Keeping rent absurdly low for a couple of years. Habit 4. Frees up the cash that makes the savings rate possible. In capturing the full 401k match plus maxing a Roth IRA. Habit Satan 9. Directs that save money into tax-advantaged growth from day one. The other 17 habits still matter. They plug leaks, prevent backsliding, and keep the lifestyle sustainable, but the leverage comes from those 3. The math of compounding is patient. Someone who saves $1,500 a month starting at age 22 and earns an average market return will land at roughly $100,000 in 3 to 4 years, depending on returns and contribution timing. The hardest part isn't the math. It's the first 90 days of friction while these habits feel forced. After that, they become the version of you that doesn't have to think about money anymore. Frugality, properly understood, is not a personality trait, it's a phase. Build the habits while income is small and the time horizon is long, and the rest of life becomes the freedom those habits brought. The point was never to die rich. The point is to never again make a decision based on money you don't have. Spend less than you earn. Invest the difference. Or pay for a few years. The boring path is the fastest one.